Let's cut back live to Secretary DEA Shaktikanta Das's press conference.
To 2,500. With regard to current accounts, government got a lot of representations from small businesses, from small business entities, that they were finding it difficult to disburse the daily wages or the weekly wages to the workers, to their workers, and also they were finding it difficult to make sundry payments. Considering the fact that we are comfortable with regard to the availability of cash, it has also been decided to increase the limit in respect of business entities having current accounts, and such current accounts which are operational for at least 3 months. For the past 3 months, for them the limit has been increased to rupees 50,000 per week. This will enable them to disburse wages to their workers and also to carry out the sundry transactions. Again, to strengthen the supply of cash through the banking system, the district central cooperative banks also will receive cash to facilitate withdrawal from the accounts held by customers in the district central cooperative banks. The next network is through the e-payment mechanism. I have mentioned about ATM, but specifically through the e-payment mechanism, it has been decided that government departments and central public sector undertakings would be advised to do maximize their payments through the e-payment mechanisms, and the government departments and central public sector undertakings are being advised to carry out all their transactions through e-payment mechanism and only to resort to cash drawal from banks and cash disbursement in totally unavoidable or very, very exceptional cases. So that will also reduce the pressure on the banks, reduce the pressure on the cash disbursement to the public. With regard to the National Payment Corporation of India, the Reserve Bank has already advised the National Payment Corporation of India to waive its transaction charges in respect of various transactions which are settled by the through the what they call the National Financial Switch system, to waive the transaction charges. In other words, it will be less costly now for all transactions done through which are settled by the National Payment Corporation of India. Similarly, the banks are also being advised to waive their charges in respect of the various transactions through the debit, credit card, etc. Then finally, with regard to enhancing the public convenience, as you know, government has already announced that there shall be separate queues for the senior citizens and the Divyang persons. There will be a separate queue for customers visiting bank branches to do transactions against their bank accounts, and there will be a separate queue for such people who visit the banks only for exchange of notes, that is submission of old notes and receiving the new notes. So there will be separate queues for each category so that the operations at the banks is streamlined. And with regard to again keeping in view the necessity to reduce the crowd at the bank branches, and also keeping in view the need of senior citizens, the annual life certificate which is required to be given by the pensioners during the month of November every year, the time limit has been extended up to 15th of January. And finally, the exemptions which have been granted by the government, that is cases or transactions where acceptance of old 500 rupee notes or 1000 rupee notes have been permitted or were permitted for a temporary period up to 14th November midnight, that has been extended to 24th November midnight. And this will cover all the categories. I repeat, this will cover all the categories, namely the petrol and diesel bunks, the payments in the pharmacies, the payments to the utilities, water and electricity utilities. And when we say pharmacies and water and electricity utilities, a question was raised whether also it includes private units. Yes, it does. It includes private pharmacies. It includes private discom companies also. But in respect of discom companies, as we have already said earlier, it will be mainly for payment of bills of individuals and households in respect of their arrear bills and in respect of their current bills, and not for payment of advances. I would like to conclude by saying that the RBI has informed the meeting yesterday, chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister, that enough cash is available in the system and there is absolutely no reason for the public to feel any kind of panic. And in the days to come by, the supply of cash through various networks, through various channels, as I have explained, will be improved, and I think the situation will ease out in the coming days. Again, I would like to reiterate that enough cash is available with the Reserve Bank of India and with the entire system, and there is absolutely no reason for members of the public to feel any kind of panic. Thank you.
One by one, please.
Cash is available, sir, but the problem is the supply. Cash is, I don't think...
Cash is available. You said the problem is supply, and that is why all these steps have been taken. The situation is being constantly monitored several times during the day. It's not that every day only there is one review. It's a continuous process, and the measures which have been announced yesterday after the meeting chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister are basically measures in that direction.
सरकार के पास क्या कोई इस बात के आंकड़े हैं कि कितने एटीएम हैं जो वर्किंग में हैं और जो 24 घंटे तक पैसा डिस्पेंस करने की हालत में हैं?
वो
बंद पड़े हैं।
देखिए, टोटली जो है 2 लाख के आसपास एटीएम्स है, और उसमें से आप जो कह रहे हैं सही कह रहे हैं, कुछ एटीएम्स में शायद वो जो 100 रुपए का नोट जो दे रहे थे, 100 और 50 रुपए के नोट्स वो नहीं पहुंचे थे। लेकिन अभी उसका जो टास्क फोर्स है, वो टास्क फोर्स उनके मीटिंग आज या कल शुरू कर देंगे। वो एक डिटेल एक्शन प्लान बनाएंगे, फिर उसके बाद आपका जो नंबर आप मांग रहे हैं उसको हम दे पाएंगे।
One by one.
4-5 क्वेश्चन।
One only 3 for...
Supply may be a problem in the distant areas, but what we are experiencing is that certain branches in CP, Janpat also, like Yes Bank branch in Janpat,
One at a time, please.
ran out of cash day before yesterday at 5 o'clock in the evening. So what explains this situation at a time when the government is maintaining that there is enough cash in the system?
You see, we are replenishing the cash as and when. Currently, please remember that only 100 rupee notes are dispensed through the ATMs. Each ATM carries 4 trays. Earlier, out of the 4, 3 trays carried 1000 rupee notes and 500 rupee notes. Those 3 trays have been emptied because the old notes have to be taken out, and in that place new trays have to be installed. The hardware and the software will have to be recalibrated, tested and retested to ensure that there is no error or there is no mistake, money doesn't get jammed or more notes do not come, or when you are drawing a particular amount, you don't get the full cash. So only one tray is being used, and in one tray there is a limited 100 rupee notes which is given, which gets exhausted. The banks are trying their best to replenish those in those trays. Therefore, the ATMs are getting exhausted. But it has been reported. Subject to verification. All of you are in the field. But it has been reported that there are several cases where the same people are coming back again and again and adding to the queue. That is a difficulty which we have to deal with, and we have to discuss.
One by one. Please,
One question. Please, one question.
Sir, आपने banking correspondence की बात की थी.
Sorry?
Mr. Jaitley said it will take about 2 to 3 weeks for the situation to get normal. PM is saying 50 days. Why is there such a conflicting...
No, there is absolutely no conflict. The Honorable Prime Minister referred to the date of 30th December. That is the time limit given for, submission of old notes. The Prime Minister's reference was to that. The Finance Minister's reference was specifically relating to the ATMs alone. And as I mentioned, to expedite that and to compress that time schedule even further, to do it even much more expeditiously, this task force has been formed. Two more questions.
बैंकिंग कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट्स की बात की थी, तो सर उसमें मैं ये समझना चाह रहा था कि जो बैंकिंग कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट है वहाँ लोग सिर्फ 4,000 रुपए बदलवा पाएंगे या अपने पुराने पैसे भी जमा करा पाएंगे?
बैंकिंग कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट जो है वहां पे आप पुराने पैसा जमा करवा सकते हैं अगर आपका अकाउंट हो, और दूसरी बात यह है कि जिसका अकाउंट है वो अकाउंट से वो ड्रॉ कर पाएंगे। और मैं आपको ये भी कहना चाहूंगा कि हमारे फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री के 7 जॉइंट सेक्रेटरीज का एक टीम बनाई गई है और हर एक जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी को 4 या 5 स्टेट अलॉट किया गया है और हर एक जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी को 5 या 6 या 4 बैंक्स अलॉट किया गया है। लगातार सुबह से रात तक लगातार हमारे जो ऑफिसर्स हैं वो स्टेट्स के चीफ सेक्रेटरी के साथ, बैंक चेयरमैन के साथ लगातार उनके साथ वो टच में है और जहां जहां प्रॉब्लम है वहां पे डील कर रहे हैं। कल ये इंस्ट्रक्शंस दिया गया है, ये मैसेज दिया गया है स्टेट चीफ सेक्रेटरीज को और बैंकों को कि जिन जिन रूरल पॉकेट्स में अभी तक कैश सप्लाई सफिशिएंटली नहीं पहुंचा है, उस टाइप के जो रूरल पॉकेट्स है उसको आइडेंटिफाई करके वहां पे तुरंत बैंकिंग कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट के द्वारा या मोबाइल बैंकिंग फैसिलिटीज के द्वारा वहां पे जल्द से जल्द कैश पहुंचा दिया जाए।
और one more question.
शादियों को लेके बहुत प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, हॉस्पिटल्स को लेके बहुत प्रॉब्लम आ रही है।
आई थिंक आई कांट हियर एट दिस रेट, आई कांट हियर।
शादी को लेकर
आप थोड़ा रुक जाइए ना, आई विल कम टू यू, लेट हिम आस्क समथिंग फिर।
You know, in the business world, most of the money was unaccounted for, especially in the wholesale trade, mandis. This is, we can't term it as black money, it can be unaccounted money. Now, people who are doing business...
Unaccounted money is black money.
You might call it black money, but it is unaccounted money. People might not have, you know...
What is your question here?
The business was...
No, what is the question?
Come to the question.
Like that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it will impact the supply chain. Businesses in wholesale market...
No, what is the question?
The question is that don't you think it will ultimately impact the supply chain, which will lead to inflation?
You see, as has been stated on several occasions by the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Finance Minister, in the medium term and in the long term, this is something which will cleanse our economy from the menace of black money, and it is positive for our growth outlook. It is positive for the economy as a whole. And with regard to the unaccounted money or with regard to the cash, let me also make it very clear. In India, every household keeps some cash for any urgent requirement. There are small businesses, vegetable vendors, small shops who also keep some amount of cash. And to ensure that they are not put to any inconvenience, already it has been announced that cash deposits up to 2.5 lakh rupees in banks will not be looked into or will not be referred to the income tax department. Only the higher deposits of cash will be referred to the income tax department, and so therefore such people have absolutely no reason to worry, no reason to have any concern. But ultimately, when you say unaccounted money, black money is nothing but unaccounted money.
सवाल ये है कि काफी कुछ लोगों की शादियां, जिन घरों में शादियां हैं, उनके पास पैसा नहीं खर्च करने के लिए, ना उनको मिल पा रहा है। वो शादियां करें, अरेंजमेंट करें, लाइनों में लगे, एक प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, प्रैक्टिकल प्रॉब्लम है। ऐसे कैसे कुछ हॉस्पिटल्स में भी प्रॉब्लम आई है, जिनका इलाज होना था, इसका बच्चा मर गया है, पैसे ना होने की वजह से इलाज नहीं हो पाया टाइम पे, प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल्स में ज्यादा दिक्कत आ रही है। तो इन ऐसे केसेस में क्या आप कर रहे हैं, शादी और
इसे हॉस्पिटल्स के बारे में अगर आप कल के हमारे जो प्रेस रिलीज इशू की गई है उसमें अगर देखेंगे, जितना हद तक हो सके, टू द एक्सटेंट पॉसिबल, क्योंकि बैंक का जो रिसोर्सेस और स्टाफ है वो बिल्कुल ओवर स्ट्रेस्ड है, जितना हद तक पॉसिबल है बैंकों को ये मैसेज दिया गया है कि हॉस्पिटल्स के पास वो मोबाइल बैंकिंग के फैसिलिटी थोड़ा, मतलब जितना हो सकता है वो पेशेंट्स के कन्वीनियंस के लिए वो मोबाइल बैंकिंग फैसिलिटी अवेलेबल करे।
Yesterday. So could you give us some more details about what the PM discussed
Because in spite of your expectations of initial disruption and in spite of your best efforts, it now seems like the government and the regulator have fallen woefully short. I mean, they did seem underprepared for the first one.
You see, I mean, that is your opinion. I don't have to say anything about your opinion. Please remember that it's a huge task, and the day it was announced, the Honorable Prime Minister himself had made an appeal to the members of the public, to the citizens of this country, that in the initial days there will be some inconvenience, but in the long-term interest, in the larger interest of the country, all of us should accept this, and the government is doing its best to improve the situation, and the situation is improving every day, hour by hour. It's our endeavor. The government will continue to do whatever is possible to ease the pressure, to ease the problem, as early as possible, and in that direction, all measures will be taken, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, that was Secretary Economic Affairs Shaktikanta Das outlining some of the measures that have been taken so as to ease the supply of cash in the system at the moment. He has made it amply clear that there is absolutely no need to panic as far as the people are concerned, because there is enough cash available in the system. There was only a problem of supply that's being addressed at the moment. Higher denomination notes will be dispensed now from ATM machines. The problem that was cropping up with regards to ATMs was that the trays with old 500 and 1000 rupee notes had to be removed. New trays had to be put. The hardware and software needs to be recalibrated, and that will take about 2 to 3 weeks, as earlier the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had pointed out. Supriya Bharadwaj is now joining us with more details on that story. Supriya, take us through the major decisions that were taken yesterday when the Prime Minister had a meeting last night to ease out the supply, which is at the moment a problem for many people who are lining up outside ATMs to get cash.
Well, the first major decision that was taken is to increase the limit of withdrawal. Now it is up to 2,500 rupees. At the same time, they are also saying that there is no need for people to come back again and again. In the entire week, you can withdraw up to rupees 24,000, and at the same time also there's been instructions given to the banks that they have to provide money to the banking correspondents, which are approximately 1.5 lakh in the country, to take as much money as possible multiple times, and to ensure that the money reaches the villages.
Yes.
Also, the finance minister officials have informed the media that yes, it was decided mobile ATM facilities have to be provided near hospitals so that patients who are undergoing treatment don't have to run helter-skelter. At the same time, there is also provision which has been made for the senior citizens as well as women and Divyangs in the banks. They're saying that at the moment there are ATMs which are without cash, but that is because the hardware as well as the software of these machines have to change.
Yes.
And the RBI has, the big takeaway is that the RBI has told Prime Minister and assured him that there is no crunch of cash. They are saying that the only problem is that of the logistics on which they are working. They also commended the job of the banking staff, which have been working from 24/7 in last 4 days, and approximately 18 crore transactions have taken place in last 4 days, which is a huge task as far as the banking system is concerned.
Okay, Supriya, stay with us. Devina Gupta is also now joining us with more details. Devina, there are some underutilized entities like post offices. What instructions have they been given as far as easing out the supply of cash is concerned, so as people's problems can be alleviated at this stage?
Ma, first of all, we should tell our viewers that the recalibration of ATMs has begun. I've also spoken to the MD of NCR India, which also installs over 1 lakh ATMs across the country, is also responsible for running the ATMs across the country, on the DEA saying that 2,000 rupee notes will be available from the ATM machines. Now remember, the withdrawal limit has been raised from 2,000 to 2,500 rupees. But till now, we've only seen overutilization of only 100 rupee notes coming out of these ATMs, which is also resulted in long queues because people are just able to withdraw 100 rupee notes. So the ATM's capacity has been lowered with only 10 lakh cash available, and also resulting in multiple visits by cash vans to refill these ATMs. So what's happened now is that 2,000 rupees, once it's available in the ATMs, you will have 2,000 rupee notes being dispensed by the machines, which can be replaced by cash vans, and that will also give relief to the logistical framework that we've seen for the past 72 hours running helter-skelter. But let's also tell our viewers about what the Economic Affairs Secretary has categorically told about the question you asked on the post offices, in which there has been cash flow increase, which has been given. Post offices are also one point contact for those in rural areas which do not have access to the banking systems, which can go and exchange their notes to about 4,500 rupee notes as well. And that's the limit that's been raised. But let's tell our viewers very categorically that it's the ATMs which will now be dispensing 2,000 rupee notes. We're looking at this dispensation starting from as early as this afternoon, is what the MD of NCR India, who handles the ATMs across the country, have told you.
Okay, Devina and Supriya, thanks for joining us with those details. So clearly more focus now on the supply of cash. There is no problem with the amount of cash in the system, as pointed out by Secretary DEA, saying that the focus really is on supply, and specifically to rural areas which have been facing problems. Taking a very quick break. Coming up next with